Narrator, September 19th, 1961. According to news reports, Betty and Barney Hill were driving through New Hampshire late at night when a large flying saucer quickly came toward them and then hovered over their car. They saw strange figures through the windows of the craft, and in a mysterious way, the couple also reported complete memory loss of the 2 hours right after the encounter. Subject: to this day, no one really knows what Betty and Barney Hill saw. However, the details of their case are similar to many other stories of alien abduction. I say alien abduction because some of the details they shared, like the loss of time, seeing beings that came out of the craft, and interacting with them, suggest that these beings were not human. Subject 2. In the end, under hypnosis, they remembered being taken out of their car and brought onto the ship. It was a real abduction, and Betty begged her captors not to hurt her as she lay on a table while experiments were done on her, like a needle being put into her stomach. Barney said that skin samples and sperm were taken from him. Subject 1. The beings described by Betty and Barney Hill match the classic description of a gray alien. There are some differences in size and shape, but they all seem to have the same features: thin, skinny bodies, large oval heads, and big, oversized eyes. Narrator. The Hills were the first recorded case of alien abduction in modern times, but not the last. Since the 1960s, many similar reports have appeared, including that of Kim Carlsberg, a commercial photographer who, in 1988, claimed she was abducted by gray aliens in the middle of the night. We were living on the beach in Pacific Palisades, and I walked to the window and saw a light on the horizon that I had never seen before. I had lived on the beach my whole life, and it was not a boat and not a star. I watched the craft. The next thing I knew, it shot up into the sky and disappeared. I went to bed like usual. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was no longer in my bed. I was naked and unable to move. The beings I saw were about 3.5 feet tall. They were naked. They were off-white in color, not gray. They had huge heads, large black wraparound eyes, and tiny bodies. Subject 3. There are many stories of gray aliens taking humans onto their spaceships, and even placing alien reproductive material inside them, leading to human-alien hybrid babies. People say these babies are later removed and grown on alien ships. In some cases, people say they return to the ship and see these hybrid children. I was being used for my DNA. They were creating hybrid children using my eggs, someone else's sperm, and mixing it with their DNA. They placed an alien fetus inside me and left it there for a few months. Then they took me back later and removed it. It was horrible. It was terrifying. There are too many people saying they have been abducted for it to have no truth at all. I think it is happening. I do not know if it is a hybrid program or if they plan to bring these hybrids back to Earth one day when the environment changes. But, in my opinion, something very strange is happening to these people who say they were abducted. Narrator. Could it be that extraterrestrial beings are abducting not just individuals, but entire families? And if so, why? The abduction phenomenon passes from one generation to the next. When a man and a woman marry, and one of them has been abducted, their children will also be abducted. Nick Pope. It seems that certain bloodlines are involved. If that is true, it suggests that extraterrestrials are interested in human biology and are watching specific genetic lines for some reason. Narrator. For ancient astronaut theorists and UFO researchers, the idea that extraterrestrials are doing experiments on human biology is not new. Many believe this has been happening for thousands of years. Ariel Bar Tzadok. Maybe there is truth in these beings we call shadim. These are old stories of people being abducted, seduced, or taken away. When we hear modern alien abduction stories, they sound exactly the same. Narrator. To support their ideas, researchers point out that many abductees, more than 60%, have a very rare blood type called Rh negative. This detail kept coming up. Many abductees said, "I am Rh negative. Could that be why I am being abducted?" I worked with a doctor, Dr. John Altshuler, who studied blood samples. He concluded that Rh negative blood might be a genetic clue showing that humans could be hybrids, and that those with Rh negative blood may come from a history of abductions. Joe Montaldo. Rh negative is very unusual. It did not exist until about 35,000 years ago. It may have been introduced into humans by extraterrestrials through breeding programs. The ancient astronaut theory suggests that extraterrestrials have changed our DNA for thousands of years. There was a time when we were Homo sapiens, and then we became Homo sapiens sapiens. This change happened in only 50,000 years, which is too fast according to normal evolution. Our brain size increased by up to 30% in that time, which is incredible. The reason I think modern abductions still happen is that extraterrestrials may still be changing our DNA to turn us into an even more advanced form of humans. Suspenseful music. Narrator. Sydney, Australia, July 1992. Peter Corey wakes up and finds he cannot move or speak, but he is fully awake. He feels a weight on top of him. As his eyes adjust, he sees a woman with very strange features sitting on him. Sinister laughter. I got the shock of my life because right on top of me was a blonde female. She had very pale white skin. Her eyes were 2 or 3 times larger than human eyes. She had sharp cheekbones and a narrow face that ended in a pointed chin. On the side of the bed, there was another female who looked Asian. Then, the blonde female touched her stomach and pointed to the sky. Narrator. The visitors then disappeared, but they left behind proof. A single blonde hair. Corey took the hair to a lab, where scientist Horace Drew tested its DNA. The results were surprising. It was very unusual because most hair is yellow, brown, or black, but this hair was clear like fishing line. No one on Earth has clear hair like that. Normally, human hair has one type of DNA, but this hair showed 2 types, one from a rare Chinese lineage and another from a blue-eyed, light-skinned Celtic lineage. This is very unusual DNA, and it could not have just come from his room or the street. The hair sample showed strange DNA results that cannot easily be explained. While it does not prove it was alien, it does show something very unusual. Man. When we see DNA that mixes different lineages like this, the story does not make sense unless we consider the idea of abduction and genetic mixing going back thousands of years. Narrator. 610 AD. The ancient city of Mecca. Islamic accounts say that Muhammad, the final prophet, was sent by God to unite the Arabian tribes under Islam. Before this, he would go to a cave in the mountains to pray and reflect. During one of these times, the angel Gabriel came to him and gave him messages from God. The angel Gabriel is also known from the Old Testament. He appears there and also announces the births of Jesus and John the Baptist. But in Muhammad's story, Gabriel becomes much more important. Narrator. According to tradition, Muhammad had a close relationship with Gabriel. Over 23 years, Gabriel revealed the Quran to him. These beings come to humans and say, "You are chosen." If you listen and work with them, they share knowledge about the divine. The angel told Muhammad, "I will take you with me." They flew over the earth, circled it, and returned to the cave. The journey around the earth took only about 1.5 minutes. Narrator: could this story describe an abduction where Muhammad was taken to other places or dimensions by an extraterrestrial being? Narrator: the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt. In the Bible, Moses received the 10 Commandments from God after being on Mount Sinai for 40 days and nights. When he returned, his appearance had changed greatly. Patrick Cook. He had been near God for so long that his face was glowing, and he had to cover it because people were afraid. Philip Coppens. His people still recognized him, but they saw he had physically changed. This suggests a real physical encounter, not just a spiritual one. Nick Redfern. If we compare this to modern alien abduction stories, we could ask, was God actually a UFO? Was Moses taken aboard for 40 days and then returned? It sounds like a classic abduction. Music playing. Narrator: could these biblical stories suggest that extraterrestrials have been communicating with humans for a long time? Music playing. Narrator: Northeast Syria, near the Khabur River. The Bible says that divine beings came down from the sky and met a priest named Ezekiel. Music playing. Patrick Cook. Ezekiel saw a great whirlwind with fire and shining metal. It spun and landed in front of him, and 4 creatures came out. Narrator: Ezekiel described them as having 4 faces, 4 wings, and shining skin. Ravi, Barry H. Downing. Ezekiel said he was taken into the sky and shown visions of the future. Narrator: what was this object, and who were these beings? Nick Redfern. Some think the description sounds like a spacesuit or helmet. Maybe he saw something unfamiliar. REEV. Barry H. Downing. Ezekiel described something like a wheel within a wheel, which sounds like a flying saucer. Philip Coppens. This sounds like a man being taken, shown things, and returned, just like modern abduction stories. Music playing. Narrator: Pacific Palisades, California, July 17, 2015. Police find a dead body inside an abandoned SUV. The body is identified as Jeffrey Allen Lash. Inside his home, police find over 1,200 guns, large amounts of ammunition, and cash.